Hello, welcome to this video. My name is Dave Adams and this is my course HTML and CSS for Novices. In this video, we're going to talk about colors in HTML. Let's get right into it. HTML has different color properties. Examples of these color properties are background color, which is for coloring text, and border color. Colors can be applied using the predefined color names, which are about 140. We'll go over them later on in this video. Or with RGB, hex or hexadecimal values, hue, saturation, lightness, or HSL. RGBA, which has an added alpha channel, and HSLA, which also has an added channel. And these values can be used to apply colors to the various elements in HTML. RGB represents the red, green, and blue light sources. So we know the basic primary colors are red, green, and blue. And these are the colors that the RGB represents in HTML. So RGB represents the red, green, and blue light sources, while the RGBA has an additional alpha source representing the opacity. Opacity is basically how transparent you want the object to be. So 0 is going to make the object basically non-existent or totally transparent, whilst 100 will have the object being opaque or not being transparent at all. So depending on how transparent you want the object to be, you tune the opacity. Each light source has values ranging from 0 to 255. So R has 256 values because it starts from 0. G, which is green, also has 256 values, and blue. So to find out the total colors that can be made using these values, you can multiply 256 by 256 by 256, or you can cube 256 and you get the total number of colors that can be formed using these values. The hexadecimal code or the hex code is characterized by 2 red values, 2 green values, and 2 B values. Hexadecimal values for each light source range between 0, 0, and FF. So for black, it's 0 all the way, while for white, it's F all the way. So you have 6 Fs for white and 6 zeros for black. But there's a shortcut. You can also use 3 zeros for black and 3 Fs for white, since they have the same values throughout. HSL stands for hue, saturation, and lightness, while the added A in HSLA is the alpha channel that represents the opacity as well, just like in RGB and RGBA. So hue is a degree on the color wheel, which has values from 0 to 360. 0 is red, 120 is green, and 240 is blue. Saturation is a percentage value. 0% means a shade of gray, and 100% is the full color. Saturation can be described as the intensity of a color. 100% is the pure color, no shades of gray. 50% is 50% gray, but the color is still there. 0% is completely gray, and you can no longer see the color. The lightness of a color, which stands for the L, or which the L stands for, The lightness of a color can be described as how much light you want to give the color, where 0 means no light, therefore black. 50% means 50% light, so it's neither dark or light, it's in between. And 100% means full lightness, which is white. Now that we know all this about colors, let's put this into practice in Visual Studio Code. Going into Visual Studio Code, we have our code from the previous video on comments. I'm going to comment this out and then, I'm going to clear this and then change the title. Now, what I want to do is to clear all this code, and then we're going to start afresh today. And go into the CSS as well and clear the code there. Now we want to apply colors, the various types of colors. Let's first create a heading and say HTML colors. Now we also want to create a paragraph and say, or let me just use lorem 30 to create some dummy text. Now We want to place all of this in a div. So I'm going to cut it and create a div and call it border, because we want to be able to affect the border color as well. Now that we have all this, let's go into our CSS and style these elements. So for our div called border, we want to I'm just quickly going to give it a width of 80%, and then I'm going to give it a margin at the top and bottom. I want to make it 0, and on the left and right I want to make it auto, so it's centered. And now I want to affect the border color. So we have a compound CSS property called border, which caters for border with the type of border and the color. So we have border 1px, which is the border with a solid border, and the color we want is red. We can make this 4px depending on how thick we want the border to be. Now for the heading, we're going to target it using its name, which is h1, and we're going to use the color, which is used to style text. So you have the various color names, predefined color names here. So let's go coral, right? And now for the P, which is the paragraph, let's style it with a classic gray. So let's start typing gray. And then we're going to change this value. So there's a trick in Visual Studio Code which makes everything simple for you. If you want to change the value from a predefined name, all you have to do is hover over this box right here. Go to this bar which shows the color. Click on it. It's going to change the code. It's going to go through the hex, the HSL, the HWB, the RGB, and then back to the hex again. So let's say you want to go with the RGB. Basically, it's equal values throughout. Now going into our browser, you can see that these values have been applied. So we applied a border color, which is 4px solid red, and it's right there. And we applied a coral color to the H1, and then we made the paragraph gray as well. Now, if we want to, let's change this to an RGB, right? Oh, yeah. Let's change this to an RGB. So now if we want to control the opacity, we add an A here. And then we can now try to change the opacity so that the opacity ranges from 0 to 1, 1 being the highest value and 0 being the lowest. So it has decimals as well. For 10% opacity, you do 0.1 and so on. So now we have 10% opacity. We can do an inspect. We can come here and decide to tweak it a bit. So now we have 0.3 and it becomes a bit deeper. Going back into our developer tools, I have a video on developer tools if you want to check it out. I'll leave a pop-up in the top and you can click on it and check. So let's make it 70% opacity, and you can see that it's deeper now. The same applies for the HSL as well. I want to also show you this website which makes HTML colors very easy. Any color that you want to create, you can just use this. You can hover over, you can drag this circle over the color, and then you can change the type of color that you want. You can cycle through them. Now when you scroll down a bit, there are various colors here. You can choose from them. And when you go down, you can see the color names. So there are about 140 color names. If you need any of these color names, you can just click on browse the full list, and it opens up a page with their actual colors. So let's try this. Let's try one of these colors. Let's go with salmon. I'm going to copy it, go right into my code, and change this paragraph color to salmon. And we should have salmon right in our browser. And you can see that the color has changed as well. So it ranges from the red colors, pink, orange, yellow, and so on. So you can check this site out. Lastly, I want to go over, I didn't do background colors. So I also want to give background a color. You can just go with background and specify the color that you want. Let's say I make it black, which is 000. When I go into the browser, you can see that the black has been applied. But there's one thing I want to show you. So there's also gradient colors. Yes. So there are gradient colors that make your work beautiful, and we have generators online. I'm going to leave a link in the description. All you have to do is to copy this code right here, go back into your code and paste it. That's how simple it is. So I'm going to replace this background with the gradient colors. And when I go into my browser, I should have a gradient. It doesn't look so good, so I'm going to try to make it a bit more nice. I'm going to comment this border color out, and probably I'll give this a little padding to make everything look good. I'll give it a 20 pixel padding all around, and I'm going to choose a different color. I think this color is good. I think this is nice. So I'm going to copy this and replace whatever is here and save and go into my browser. Now I have to change these colors to white as well, so that each one, the simple color code I can use is the hex code, which is FFF and FFF here as well. Or I can go with 000. You can actually use the full range, which is 6 values. And there goes my keyboard messing up again. And now you have something that looks better. So that's all about HTML colors. I'm going to leave a link to this code in the description. I'm going to leave the links to these sites as well in the description, because colors make websites beautiful and they make them stand out. So you're welcome to subscribe if you haven't, and if you do so, kindly turn on post notifications as I frequently upload videos. And if you're already subscribed, like these videos as well, as it helps with the algorithm and it helps this video reach a wider audience. In the next video, we're dealing with HTML images. Basically, we are getting to the end of this course. We are dealing with the elements that make the website beautiful or the web page beautiful, and we've treated colors in today's video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.